Is there anyone in the audience that would like to offer up a prayer? All right, let's stand for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge. Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the September 3rd, 2019 school board meeting. Any public comment tonight? Okay. Let's take a look at the consent agenda items. 4.1, the minutes. 4.2, strengthening career and technical education grant. 4.3, contract with Madison Therapy and Wellness. 4.4, daycare contracts for teen parent program. 4.5, fundraisers. 4.6, staff trips. 4.7, joint use agreement. Does any school board member want to pull anything for further discussion? All right, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Before you go, note that one staff trip was added to, that's not in the...
And that's under consent?
Yes, it's under consent also.
Under consent. It's this sheet right here.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda items.
We have a motion by Ms. Williamson. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Alfred. Any discussion or questions? By a show of hands, all in favor? Oppose? Becky, 5-0. Items for individual consideration. 5.5, student field trips. Ms. Joseph?
Okay, Madam Chair, our school field trips at this time is one from the high school. Mr. Radon is taking his FBLA students to Wiregrass and Valdosta on October 24th. Ms. Smith is taking her culinary students, a few of her culinary students to Kaiser University on November 8th in Tallahassee. And Ms. Goose is taking her power and energy students to FSU Mag Lab in Tallahassee on September 25th. Those are our student field trips at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. Do we have a motion to approve the student field trips?
I make the motion to approve the student field trips.
We have a motion by Mr. Alfred. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Daniels. Any questions or discussion? By a show of hands, all in favor? Oppose? Becky, 5-0. 5.2, Johnson Agreement. Mr. Reeves?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. There's a mediated settlement agreement, general release in your packet, and that agreement is presented for consideration by the school board. This is a settlement agreement that was reached in case 2018-CA-00090. It was Johnson versus the school board. The case, and as you'll recall, was a case brought by Ms. Tina Johnson, who used to be a school board member. Ms. Johnson was removed by the governor and suspended by the governor, and then was exonerated of all charges. The exoneration took place after her term had already run. Now, there's a legal issue as to whether or not Ms. Johnson would have been entitled to back pay, remuneration, benefits, and all of that for that time that she was out. The Attorney General had issued an opinion saying that you would not be entitled to that unless you're reinstated. The problem with that was, and as we had talked about many times, is I think that is probably I think that argument is not a good argument and very likely would be overturned on appeal because it would amount to a denial of due process. Now, pursuant to the board's instructions, we entered into a mediation on August 7th. That mediation, we stayed there all day, started early in the morning, got done about 5 or 6 that afternoon. But the result was this mediated settlement agreement. And of course, since this board is a sunshine board, that agreement does not bind this board until and unless you all vote to approve the mediation agreement. So this is a recommended agreement right now. The agreement, though, provides for an $80,000 payment to Ms. Johnson, that in exchange for that $80,000 payment, she's releasing the school board, the state, everybody else from everything concerning this. So it should resolve all litigation and all claims dealing with her suspension and then exoneration. Now, the $80,000, $35,000 of that will come from PACE, the insurance company. Their board has already approved that and has already approved to pay the $35,000. And so if you all vote to approve the settlement agreement, you would vote, the amount of money that you would be agreeing to pay would be $45,000. That has to be paid within 30 days. If you decide to approve it, that has to be paid within 30 days of today. And so what I would request, it is my recommendation, I think that's a good settlement. If you went to court and won, obviously, you'd pay nothing. If you went to court and lost, you would pay considerably more than that. I think that's a good middle ground, and I think all parties thought that. And so my recommendation is to approve the agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Ms. Joseph, what is your recommendation?
I recommend that we approve the agreement.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the Johnson agreement?
I'll make the motion to approve the agreement.
We have a motion by Ms. Williamson, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Daniels. Any questions or discussion? By a show of hands, all in favor? Oppose? Becky, 5-0. 5.3, replacement of AC unit at Lee Elementary cafeteria. Ms. Joseph? Mr. Ginn, did you want to speak?
I'm gonna let Mr. Ginn speak to this because he's presented two quotes.
Doing good?
As you know, these units, been in front of you before, these units are getting age on them. These are some of the R22 units that now they've replaced the refrigerant in them with the 410A. This is a big unit. This is the one that's on the cafeteria at the Lee. We're only at half capacity right now. We're able to keep it 78 to 80 degrees at the most. I've got your two competitive quotes here. One's from Comfort System, the other one's from Engineered Cooling. As you can see, they were pretty close together. Engineered Cooling was $31,455. Comfort System was $31,776. So I recommend going with the Engineered Cooling, the $31,455, which is the lesser of the two quotes that we get. And the reason I've only got two, it's these being commercial type units, and this is a big unit that's got to be replaced. I felt like I needed to go out and find a commercial company that could make that happen quick, on the time frame be quick. So if y'all approve, I'll get that ball rolling as soon as I can. But while we're on these units, just keep in your mind, we replaced two out at Central this year, replaced two last year. We only got 80 more. So it's going to get where there's more and more every year. It's going to be a snowball effect where they start going out more and more every year.
And this comes out of the general fund.
And this is, yes.
Any questions for Mr. Ginn? All right, do we have a motion to replace the AC unit at Lee Elementary cafeteria?
I make the motion to approve the engineer cooling quote for Lee Elementary School.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Williamson. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Oppose? Becky, 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Ginn. 5.4, permission to advertise policy changes. Ms. Joseph?
You have several policies that are presented, and what we're asking for tonight is only to advertise. And it's a periodic thing that happens with the company Neola. And so, we will have discussion at our next meeting, and a month from now, they will be up for approval. They are not up for approval tonight. These are the policies we're only asking to advertise.
And just to clarify, this is not these are not local mandates right here. This comes from the
It's
state.
from the state. Our company Neola, as new laws come about, they update, we have a contract with them, they update the policies so they will be current. Now, if you have any questions in between, feel free to call someone, ask someone to get clarification. We will have a public hearing at our next scheduled board meeting. We will not vote on them until the next month. 30 days.
30, okay, it'll be 30 days.
We'll, in October.
In October?
First meeting
The
in
first meeting in October, okay. All right, thank you, Ms.
Maybe the
Joseph.
second, it may be the second meeting in October, depending how the paper runs, because you may not get exactly 30. See what I'm saying?
You have to get a newspaper as quickly as possible.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Joseph. All right, do we have a motion to advertise the policy changes?
Madam Chair, I would move to advertise the policy changes.
We have a motion by Mr. Daniels, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Bell. Any questions or discussion? By show of hands, all in favor? Opposed? Becky, 5-0. 5.5 staffing table, Ms. Joseph.
Madam Chair, we have no changes to the staffing table at this time.
All right, very good. 5.6 personnel changes.
Personnel changes are presented in the packet. Are there any questions about any persons on the list?
Doesn't look like it. All right, do we have a motion for the personnel changes?
I make the motion to approve the personnel changes.
We have a motion by Mr. Alfred, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Bell. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Becky, 5-0. 5.7, instructors for hospital/homebound program. Ms. Joseph?
Okay, we have to maintain an active hospital homebound program, and we have to have teachers available. These are the list of teachers that are available, and they will only be used as needed, but we have to have someone available if needed. So they're not full-time, it's only as needed. And this is through our ESE department.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. Do we have a motion to approve the instructors for the hospital/homebound program?
I make the motion to approve the instructions for homebound program.
We have a motion by Ms. Williamson, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Bell. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Becky, 5-0. 5.8 supplements, Ms. Joseph.
Ms. Joseph is going to let Mr. Stallmaker explain the supplement list that we have presented to you.
In your packet, Madam Chairman, board members, there's two supplement lists, one for the central school and one for the high school. The first set for the high school, it says revised. Unfortunately, I was not able to get signatures from Ms. Wildgoose after we made the edits, so we put in the original and the revisions. There were a handful of coaches that had not reapplied for their coaching endorsement to get it renewed, and this was done after the fact, so we're in the process of getting those done. That's why it has listed TBA, and we took those off the original list. And I also had to do the same thing on the last set for Madison Central School. There's one football coach and softball coach that had not renewed his endorsement either, so now he's in the process of getting that renewed. Any of your questions, we just ask that your approval for these these supplemented positions for the district.
Thank you, Mr. Stallnaker. Any questions for Mr. Stallnaker? All right. Do we have a motion to approve the supplements?
Madam Chair, I make the motion to approve the supplemental position.
We have a motion by Ms. Bell, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Daniels. Any questions, discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Oppose? Becky, 5-0. Monthly financial reports, Ms. Joseph?
We do not have a financial report at this time. He should have them ready at next meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. All right, excuse me, superintendent items?
Okay, I just need to announce that we did receive a $16,000 check from Workforce. That was our Duke Energy grant. We had asked for $20,000. We were able to receive $16,000, and it helps with our CTE program at the high school.
That's good news. Anything else?
We have fared the storm. We've been storm watching all weekend, and we were fortunate that we did not have to close school, but we were mindful of the safety of our kids, and we do have a plan in place. So if the storm had come this way, we were prepared to handle things.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. Ms. Williamson? Oh,
She's also quiet.
Ms. Williamson?
No.
Ms. Bell?
I do have a question, Shirley. If it comes a little closer than it is going now, they have to evacuate Jacksonville. Do you think we'll have to open Central as a shelter?
No, they have been having emergency management meetings 2 o'clock every day since Thursday, and Mr. Killsworth attended one today, and that's the last one for Madison County. And at that meeting, he was briefed that it's veering further east, so they don't think it's coming any further this direction. Okay. So they won't be having any more meetings in the near future, hopefully. Keep our fingers crossed. We know Florida.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Ms. Bell?
I just want to continue to pray for the people that was in the path of the storm and all the damage that's already been done, anybody that's been hurt.
Mr. Alford?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Daniels? All right. I'd like to thank those that came tonight. I'd like to recognize our Deputy Sheriff, Mr. Deputy Greg Ray. We appreciate what you do, and everyone at the Madison County Sheriff's Department also. Thank you. We have a couple of reminders. On Monday, next Monday, September 9th at 6 o'clock, we'll have the final public hearing and adoption of the final millage and budget. This will be followed by a workshop regarding the elected versus the appointed superintendent. And we'll also have a workshop regarding the best and the brightest. There's been some new rules that will apply to this. Are there any questions about this?
Can we let Mr. Stalnaker talk a little bit more about that one?
Sure. Mr. Stalnaker?
Referencing the best and brightest, I've had a couple meetings. I met with Mr. Leonard Deason, our employment attorney, and we also had a workshop with the NEFEC in Gainesville last week. There's several changes relating to how the distribution is of those funds. Originally, we applied and the state sent us the funds. Now it's like a categorical fund. We get the money, then we have to distribute it to our schools as well as the charter schools according to the policies and procedures. Mm-hmm. And in that, there's some negotiations we're going to have. So I got Leonard coming to educate the board on behalf of the procedures and the changes. So when we come back for an executive session, you'll understand the purpose and the rationale behind that.
Will Mr. Deason be here next Monday?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
He's actually doing the presentation.
Oh, he's doing the presentation. Okay,
Correct.
Very good.
I think it's scheduled at 6:30.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stalnaker. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I made the motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Ms. Bell, and second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Alford. All those in favor? Opposed? Becky, 5-0.